Let's take a look at a quick Excel macro that's going to improve the user friendliness of your files, especially the bigger files that have many worksheets in them. What we're going to do is this. We're going to create a combo box that includes a list of all the worksheets in this workbook. Whenever the user makes a selection, they jump to that respective sheet. Now here comes the good part. We're going to do it in a way that's fully dynamic. So anytime we add a new sheet, we delete a sheet or rename a sheet, the combo box gets updated automatically without us needing to do anything. So no clicking buttons, nothing. First, let's just start by adding a combo box to this. So let's go to the Developer tab, Insert, and select Combo Box from the ActiveX control side, and let's just draw it out. We automatically go to Design View. First thing I normally do is go to Properties and change the code name of the combo box to something that I recognize. So I'm going to call this CB for Combo Box Sheet. Since I want the values inside the combo box to update automatically, I don't want to fix it by specifying a specific list fill range. I want to do that in the macro. And normally, whenever it comes to updating things automatically, think about events and think about which events you could use to get this done. There are specific events that are associated with ActiveX controls. There are events associated with the workbook and with the worksheet. So one event that comes to my mind that can be useful in this case is to use the Worksheet Activate event. This would mean every time we activate this worksheet, we could run the macro that's going to update this list. Now this can work because every time you go somewhere, you're actually deactivating this sheet, right? So I'm going here, I'm going to rename this, I add a new sheet or I delete another sheet. My ActiveX sheet is deactivated, and when I go back here, when I click on it, I'm activating this. I could write a code that's going to loop through all the worksheets in this workbook, get their names, and add them to the combo box. Looping through each sheet in the workbook is easy, right? We can use a for each collection loop. Now, adding them to the combo box is also very easy because there is the add item method that we can use. So let's go to Code View. Now we need to be on the code window of this worksheet, which is called ActiveX, and we are there. So from this dropdown, I'm going to select Worksheet. Default is Selection Change. In this case, I don't want the default. I'm going to select Activate. Since we're planning to loop through each worksheet in the Worksheets collection, let's dim SH as Worksheet. For each SH in this workbook.worksheets, so let's do next SH. We need to get the combo box name, and to get IntelliSense, I'm going to do me. So me stands for this object that I'm in, which is the worksheet object. Dot is CB sheet. Dot. Do you see the right method here? It's the add item method. Now, what do we want to add to this? sh.name. That gives us the name that we see here of each worksheet. Let's test this. Let's go out of design mode. First, I'm going to deactivate this sheet so that I can activate it again to trigger that event. Now let's look. They're here. If I currently make a selection, nothing happens because we haven't written anything about what it should do if we do select something. But check this out. I'm going to click away and click back. Do you notice something? Everything is duplicate again. Every time you step out and you come back in, it's adding items to the bottom of this list. We don't want that. So we should clear everything before we add anything to this. So let's get to our combo box and use the clear method on this. Okay, let's just test quickly. So now we have everything duplicated. Let's step out and let's go back and we just have it once. Okay, that took care of that. Let's now write the part where we actually jump to the sheet that we select. I'm going to go to design mode so that I can click on this and click on view code. that automatically creates the procedure for the default event. The default is change event. I can go with the default in this case. Click event would work too. Change event works just as well. The macro that we actually want is to select the worksheet name and use .select. So we can go with worksheets. Now the worksheet name, we actually have it in the combo box. So we just need to get the value of the combo box, that's what was selected, and say .select. Okay, so let's just test. Let's get out of design mode. This jumped to data. Now when I go back, I run into a problem. Subscript out of range, let's debug. It has a problem with selecting. Now what's the value in the combo box? It's nothing. It's looking for a worksheet that's nothing, it can't find it, it runs into a problem. We can add an exception here and say if cbsheet.value does not equal to nothing, then it should do this, and if, right? So otherwise it shouldn't run this. Let's see if this takes care of that. I'm going to step away, go back to activate this. Now let's click on data. I jump, let's go back. Okay, it's empty. I didn't get an error. Now it would also be nice to just kind of inform the user what this combo box is for. So instead of nothing, let's keep default value of this to a text that says select a sheet. Right after the user makes their selection, let's say cbsheet.value equals select a sheet. We set the value to that. And then when we come back to this view, we're going to make sure that the value doesn't equal to this, because otherwise you can't select that sheet. And only if it's not equal to this, then it's going to jump to the specific worksheet. Okay, so let's see if this works. Let's activate this again. Click here, we jump here. Let's actually add another sheet and delete a sheet. Let's go back. Okay, we get select a sheet, we didn't get an error. Leila is gone and I have sheet 2 and sheet 1. We can jump there and we can jump to sheet 1. So all this looks good until now, but there is still one tiny problem with this. And I'm going to show you what that is. If we save this, and now I'm going to close this. I close that workbook. I'm going to reopen it, let's say on another day. It opens where I left it off. And now I go to select a sheet and everything is empty. Why? Because the activate event doesn't trigger when the sheet is already active. It only triggers if I go back and forth and now everything is there. To make sure this triggers every time you open it, even if you had saved it when you were on this sheet and then you closed it in this view, what we can do is to create a workbook open event that checks to see if this worksheet is active. If it is, it's going to click away and then click back here. That's all it has to do. It actually has to click away and click back here to activate it. Let's go to this workbook. Select workbook from here. The default is open. That's what we need. And say if ActiveSheet.name equals ActiveX in this case, then it should just select another worksheet and then it should come back to this worksheet. This makes sure that we trigger the worksheet activate event. Let's test again. I'm going to save this. I'm going to close, open again, and I'm going to directly go here and it's triggered. So that's how you can create a combo box that helps with the navigation of your larger workbooks. This is part of my online Excel VBA and macros course. If you'd like to learn VBA in a structured way, check out the complete course. Link is in the description below. You can also find it in the cards or go to xelplus.com/courses.